today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my top tips on how to balance work and studying. Before I begin, make sure you are subscribed, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment down any suggestions below as usual, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Since I was 15, I've been working and studying in various capacities, some full-time work, some part-time work, as well as that I've been doing my A-levels, GCSEs, obviously uni and my masters, so I've had sort of different varying types of study and work alongside, and along the way I've picked up some top tips on how I sort of managed to keep that balance and how I managed to make sure that I could do both. My first tip, which is so incredibly important in making sure you can balance work and studies, is organisation. Now I know this kind of sounds like a very sort of obvious one and common sense, but you'd be surprised kind of people who just kind of float between 1 minute they got a job, 1 minute they haven't, not knowing when their assignments are due, kind of not knowing what's going on and not having that pre-planning, and then everything just gets really stressful and then it's really hard to organise everything. So how I stay organised is I make sure that I've got my journal and I've got my planner of my weekly schedule. As well as that, I know if there's any key events, sort of like any deadlines due, any key events in work, for example training, days that I can't miss, just to make sure I know what's going on. With this organisation comes the pre-planning, so just making sure you kind of have a rough idea of, as I mentioned before, key dates. Of course you're not going to know what's going to happen every single week from Monday to Sunday, but just having that sort of like pre-planning of knowing, like for example winter exam period, January exam period, you sort of know if you can pick up more shifts or if you kind of know that you need to decrease your hours to kind of tailor your studying schedule. I do this by regularly checking my planner. I've got sort of like a desk planner that just has what goes on the days, and then I have sort of like a more in-depth planner, and I'm just constantly just checking and making sure that I know what's going on, making sure that I have sort of, I guess, visual prompts and visual reminders of what's going on, because I am a very visual person. I like to have everything sort of like spread out in front of me, reminding me. Alternatively, there is Google Calendar. You can get calendars on your phone. It really just depends what kind of works with you. My second point is transparency with your employer. I can understand some people may not want to tell their employer that they're a student for whatever reason. You don't really have to tell your employer everything. You may just want to say that you're here to work or do a bit of part-time work. However, telling your employer that you're a student can have many benefits, and I find that having that transparency with my employers has allowed me to keep the balance of study and working. I've been quite fortunate that the places that I've been working over the past years, they've been very, very empathetic and compassionate towards the fact that I am a student. There'll be times where it's late and there's only a couple children, for example, left in the school, in the nursery, and they'll say, Nicole, just go home, it's fine, like you've got your studies, like Nicole, or they'll be checking up on me, how's your studies? Or if there's any specific things that they've heard of that they feel will benefit my studies, they'll be like, oh Nicole, I heard about this, should I email it to you? Or Nicole, would you like to specifically work with this? You know, will it benefit your degree? And that has been a massive benefit of letting my employers know that I am a student. I'll give you an example. I used to work in a special educational needs setting, and it was a big school with different departments such as therapists. We had speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, so many different types of therapists. And therapy is an occupation that I'm potentially looking into going into when I graduate uni. And I just let them know, and I said I'm currently studying a master's in neuroscience. I'm specifically interested in working with autistic children and therapy. And they let me kind of do a bit of work experience. Whenever they were doing therapy with the children, they'd say, like, because obviously I was an employee there, they'd take me in and they'd say, Nicole, would you like to shadow this? Would you like to kind of watch that? And I know that is a rare example, but I feel very, very incredibly blessed and grateful for that opportunity. And I let them know, and I said, yeah, I'm a student, I'm studying. And I kind of got those really, really incredible benefits from letting them know that I was a student. Also, there should be transparency with letting your employer know kind of like your calendar. Say, for example, you are working full-time, so I work full-time alongside my masters. just letting your employer know that there'll be certain times in the year where you'll want to decrease your hours. So for example, letting them know in June, around summertime, I may need to decrease my hours because I'm going to have deadlines, I'm going to have exams, just so they're aware and you stay in their good books. And once again, there is that transparency, and it allows you to keep the balance, as well as that, to not feel stressed and to not feel anxious about having to sort of like ask to take time off when you've already preempted that and you've already planned and sorted that out earlier on. My next point is to schedule fun. Now this is so you don't burn out. Now this is, from me speaking to you guys, somebody who tends to burn out quite a lot. I need to take my own advice, because sometimes I just go into overdrive and I say yes to every shift. I say, yes, I'm going to do that shift. But then it's like, I also have 5 deadlines due at the end of the month, but I'm saying yes. And then it gets to a point where all day working and then in the evening I'm studying, and then I just become burnt out, and it's not good mentally and it's not good physically. So make sure if you are working, even if you're working a part-time job, make sure it doesn't consume you and it doesn't just become, I need to work, I need to get money, because I do understand that is the importance, that is why we're going to work, but also your mental health is the most important before anything, and you need to be good mentally, because if it gets to a point where you're just burning out and you're going into overdrive, which has happened to me before, you can become actually ill and your body just was like, hey, stop. So make sure you schedule those fun times, whether it's like you're going to go for brunch on the weekend, or you're going to have a little self-care moment, you're going to get your nails done, you're going to have a pamper, or whatever it may be. Just make sure that you do schedule some downtime so you can rewind, feel recharged and feel ready to work and study. It's all about keeping that balance of making sure that you obviously are studying and working, but that you're not overdoing it because you don't want to burn out. My next tip, which keeps me sort of balanced for working and studying, is motivation. Now, this for me is having my goals very clear and very, very obvious to me to keep me going, because it is hard work, studying and working at the same time. It's tiring, but just having that focus, keeping myself motivated, kind of leads on from the last point, just making sure you're in a good place physically and mentally, looking after yourself so you feel enthusiastic, you feel positive, and you feel ready to reach your targets and reach your goals. For me, this is quotes, inspirational quotes. I love listening to affirmations. I love watching motivational videos on YouTube that kind of help me push myself and make me want to be the best version of myself. It sounds very, very cheesy, but I love this kind of thing, especially around assessment period when I'm feeling quite burnt out and I'm feeling quite tired and you need that extra push. I love that kind of stuff and I really, really recommend it. That was all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found it useful. Let me know if you'd like a part 2. Or if you have any other ideas, comment down below. As always, give this video a massive thumbs up, make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.